To be honest, I don't know how to charge this without shooting it.
And I fell. Bounties. But he's dead for right now, so he's gonna leave us alone now.
Alright, well, if I kill you, it's not my fault.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Oh, my armistice zone privileges are revoked.
No, it looked like I got hit by my own ship when I was getting out of the seat.
Another NPC. Yep, he's dead. Oh, no, he ran away. So now we're going to move on to the latest news and info. And this is thankfully prepared by J-Scale. Thank you very much for putting these all together. We definitely work well together as a team to get all the info for this. And this is going to be all the news that's been released over, well, in this case, the last 2 weeks. But on a regular basis, it'll be over the last week. And this is going to be the stuff from Inside Star Citizen, the roadmap roundup in the Star Citizen Live. We're going to have clips of the shows as well as information that we found useful, helpful, and interesting. So first thing, we're running through the time frame of the 5th of August through the 13th of August. And with Inside Star Citizen, they brought up something really interesting in the sprint report. And surprisingly, as Jared was talking about it, it worked well with their first test of it, and that's going to be the refueling.
First up, let's take an early look at progress on refueling currently in active development. Now, the sprint here was for the EU-PU feature team to see if it was possible to build on work previously done by the EU vehicle tech team for docking, using that as a foundation to push the existing tech further. Now, there was some minor skepticism before it was attempted, but everyone involved was thrilled to discover this early test working directly out of the box. It's an auspicious start and a wonderful example of the way one team's work is often used to support another's in game development. Now, there's still a ways to go yet, but with the foundation already in place, we can expect development of this feature to continue unabated over the coming months.
With the refueling, this is exactly what I expected it to look like with that arm that comes out, much like in-flight refueling now. And obviously in this, they're using a Gladius, it looks like, with probably a receiving arm or port on the left side of the ship. What are you guys' thoughts on how this looks? What do you think it's going to do for the game? You know, are you excited?
Well, they're going to have to bring back in speed matching.
Well, match target speed, yeah.
Well, this test actually used the ship-to-station, ship-to-ship docking. That's what they were so excited about, is that they decided to test the boom with
the docking
the same,
UI.
Yeah, the same docking mechanics that they use to dock the Parasite fighter with the Connie. So your P-52, P-72 docking with the Connie. So there, if you look at it, you see that the Starfarer is targeted in the video.
Yep.
And so, but I didn't think the Gladius, even the gold standard, had a fuel port up front like that. I thought it was just in the back. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't recall there being a fuel port there yet, but obviously it's going to have to be there for most every ship. And now we're going to have to find somebody in the org to do nothing but fly a Starfarer around.
Well, I'm excited about it because it's another gameplay loop that you can hopefully get into and become a target for PvPers.
Yeah. Now, how do you think this is going to affect fuel scoops?
They're not doing that yet, though. I think this is just tier 0, tier 1 of refueling.
Right, and this is obviously just a test, but I mean, do you expect that in the long run we might see fuel scoops go away, or see them actually being on ships more sparingly, or?
Well, they have said that they're going to remove fuel scoops from like small fighters and things like that, which I think they've done with some, and then they've been testing fuel scoops versus larger fuel tanks with what was it? They started with the Nomad, the MSR, and then the Hercules. They have massive, fuel tanks, because if you ever go to refuel them, you're sitting there for quite a while. But they don't have very big or very effective fuel scoops. And so they did say in a video a long time ago where they are testing that out, and they want to see how long, they want to let that run for a while just to see how it kind of plays out, so they can get a balance between fuel tank size and fuel scoops.
So you think this means we're going to start seeing those little reward cards you get at the gas station where you get 10 cents off a gallon?
Well, that, and they also said, though, like Pyro is going to be a much larger system to cross it, and there's not as many places to stop and get fuel.
That is, I mean, it is going to be a dead system.
With lots of pirates.
This is also probably a good addition for orgs that like to do protection duty.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this kind of gives you that feel of a real fleet style setup where you have refueling ships, you have combat ships, you have support ships. So I think this adds again to that immersion where if you're running a fleet, you're actually running a fleet just like the navies or anything else like that would.
How well will the Starfarer be able to defend itself when it's out there by itself, even if it's fully crewed?
The Gemini does pretty well. I mean, I remember Danger tearing up. We went out for PvP that one time, and Danger tore us up in a Starfarer Gemini. All right, so along with the refueling, of course, we saw the prototyping for the bombs. And again, they're using the Gladius in this clip, which I don't think the Gladius is going to have bombs. It'd be a little interesting if it did. And I love the text that they put on the bombs. I am actually a bomb.
The bombs are actually missiles that they just turned off the thrusters on.
Yep.
Well, I wonder if you could change out the missile rack for a bomb rack.
I would think any ship that has it on the underneath, it's a feasible idea. Obviously, my interest in this is because I have the A2 and I want to drop those cluster bombs and start, taking out turrets at bunkers and everything.
Well, you need to do that maneuver right there with your A2 then.
Just fling them everywhere.
I would like to see the Retaliator with some bomb variants.
Well, I mean, all their doors are on the bottom, so it's very possible, and it is a bombardier. And that would also include the Eclipse as well, too.
Yep. I mean, they are a heavy bomber and a stealth bomber.
Yep.
Looks like they need to add ground following radar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is obviously you're gonna have to. I'm sure your targeting is going to be slightly different for it as well, too.
Guided and unguided bombs, that would definitely be something cool to see.
Yeah. So I know when 315 hits and I get that A2, you guys better not be on the ground. I don't care how much they cost me to restock that thing. I will be dropping bombs every opportunity I get. So the other thing that we saw with Inside Star Citizen, I should have grabbed a clip for this one. I didn't. Intoxication effects. So now that we can actually get drinks at the bar and the bartender will actually serve everybody, is Hurston Security going to be pulling us over for FUI, flying under intoxication? What's the crime stat going to be for that?
I think it's going to be damage to property because you're going to be running into stuff based on the clip.
Well, yeah, and then you got to worry about what the sentence is for it. Are you going to get a night in the drunk tank at Klesher, or are you just going to get a fine? This actually, the difference they showed between the double vision visual and the non-double vision was unreal. I mean, nobody could literally fly with the double vision engaged. It was crazy.
And they said they're going to mess with the flight mechanics. So the harder you try to control it, the harder it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to fight back at you. I will admit, I will be flying drunk at some point when this gets released in just to mess around with it.
Well, you got to make a video.
Oh, absolutely. Can I do bounties while drunk?
I figure with this current criminal system that they have in place, justice system, you'll probably just pass out from drinking and wake up in Klesher.
It wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't surprise me. But that's one I definitely look forward to because I think that will definitely make for some funny moments. Because just, flying around and see somebody fly by you that's drunk, it's gonna look like probably some 3-year-old trying to play the game or something like that. So also with Inside Star System, we got to look at the Redeemer Gray Box. And this one I was really excited about because Redeemer is the first concept ship that I bought that isn't actually in game. And I have been waiting for this to come out. They had several shots of the interior and it looks amazing.
Meanwhile, work continues on
And
the Aegis
Buck,
Redeemer
that is
with
going to
this look at
be
the gray
a
box
ship I'm
progress of
sure
the
you're
remote
going to
turret
love.
bay,
Oh, that'll be the first one I go
man
at in
turrets,
game.
It's got a very Warden feel to it.
Oh, yes.
Vanguard.
habitation module, armory, machine section, and a look at final art progress on the rear entranceway.
I mean, of course, this has been out there for a long time. I mean, this was all concepted under a contest for a design your ship contest with backers, and it's gone through a few revisions and trying to make it feel more Aegis. It almost has that look from the outside like a dolphin, but a dolphin that is shot full of steroids and has the keys to the local gun shop. This thing
gonna be loaded to the teeth.
This thing looks like it's gonna tear some stuff up. I am excited about this one, and it's right around the corner in 315, which is one of the greatest things because between A2 bombing and Redeemer gunship, I may actually die one less time. So I'm looking forward to it. Do you guys have it, or have any of you bought into the concept, or are you waiting for it to come out and see what it's like?
Buck here, I'm gonna wait for it to come out, and hopefully somebody in the org has one, and I can go check it out with them, and then go buy one in game.
Take mine out. Of course, you always end up having to wait till the next patch before they're available in game, but just borrow mine anytime you want. I think that thing is going to be, and it's multi-crew too. So, I mean, obviously you see you have multiple turret seats. So it's going to be a great multi-crew ship. It's got the habitation module on it and everything like that. I think as far as when we go out on the streams or just, outside the streams, I think we're going to end up having a lot of fun with that ship.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one that we're going to have fun with taking out to cover mining adventures. I think we're going to have a lot of fun in that ship.
Oh yeah, that'd make a great ship to go out and do security on mining.
I was going to hold off, but then I saw an Info Runners video on it where they were talking about it and kind of theory crafting, and I was like, all right, fine.
Oh yeah, and of course we got to see it at Invictus too, or at least the exterior, and well, some of us third personed into the interior and didn't get to see much, but got to see a little bit of it.
Yep.
So, and on top of that, with ISC, they also talked about Crusader and the updates coming to it with 315, because obviously, like we were talking about, it's a little lacking right now. All right, so Crusader Showroom, I think that's going to be a fun place to visit. I got to be honest, the Starliner, I'm not real excited about.
What? I can't wait.
Same.
You guys want to be commercial pilots?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
That's
There'll
gonna
be a lot
something
of
that's
money
gonna
into
be-
that.
Yeah, that's going to be something that's going to be highly anticipated. I think we're going to have a lot as an org event. I think that would be something we go into and have a lot of fun in, like we do with the 890.
I mean, if you look at the specs on the RSI page, I mean, it's going to have defenses. It's going to have fighting capabilities to defend itself. But as far as a money maker, I'm wondering if they're going to introduce a NPC passenger list or something like that, where you're not relying the people that are players on the server to come and buy seats on your Starliner. Are they going to have a way that you can make some money by, basically carrying around NPCs?
Oh, I'm expecting that you're going to be able to get like some of the routes, because if you look at like a lot of the spaceports, they have the waiting areas and the boards up to show like when flights are leaving to certain destinations.
Yeah,
So I assume they will have NPC manifest. So it'll just be another cargo play loop. Really, you're just moving people
people.
instead of cargo.
I
I
will
wonder
say
what.
this: I expect that to be a target of pirates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say something like that. I wonder what the fuel capacity is going to be like as far as quantum. Use something like that to transport people that don't want to take a risk and fly through Pyro.
Right, they're going to be looking for somebody with one of those to take them through Pyro into other systems and all that. It's not going to be for just use around Stanton. But definitely something to keep our eye on. And Potato, I'll be your first paying passenger for you.
Sweet.
As long as you still supply the beer and the peanuts on board.
Well, the first thing we have to do is see if it'll fit through Po's rings if Po is still there.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely have to test that.
I can do it backwards. I'll do it backwards.
We'll just rent it out as a party bus around the verse.
Oh my
There
god,
you
that would be
go.
fun. Or Trojan horse. We put a bunch of troops in there and
With the intoxication, who knows? Maybe the bars on all these ships will start working, and we can just hit the mini bar on the cart.
oh, might be time to pick up a Connie Phoenix then.
I can drink on my 890 now. All right, so finally we got to see some textures on the new Nyx system, and these actually,
whose highlight is often considered to be
it
Delamar.
looks
the
gorgeous. I mean,
asteroid
it's
longtime backers may
it's
remember
definitely
as a
something different and
temporary
something new. I
resident of
think
the Stanton
I don't know if
system.
we've all had the chance to
Now,
see
what you're
the
seeing
textures that
here
they
are
showed
the
of
height map
Pyro.
paintings, a process we've
Was
showcased
it
in
maybe
depth on previous episodes of Star
8
Citizen
months
Live,
to a year
but
back?
without an atmosphere.
But these
so
are
that
definitely
artists
very
and
different than
directors
that,
can properly
and
judge the
look
colors being
absolutely
applied to
gorgeous,
various
though.
shapes. Now, what's really exciting here is that through a new refinement of process, we can now avoid the paint by numbers rings that have plagued prior efforts when artists try to get exceptionally bold with contrast.
And these are without atmosphere.
And of course, you know what else comes in with Nyx?
Delamar.
Yes,
Sweet.
everybody's favorite Canadians come back.
Canuckistan.
So with Nyx, of course, we're going to see the return of Delamar and Levski, and I would imagine that this is renditions of what we're going to see from other planets as well too. How much Levski and Delamar will change? It's only for the better, looking at these. So I'm excited to see that and looking forward to when they can start getting the other systems in. Of course, Orrison was the final location for Stanton, which means the only thing going forward is to move into other systems now. So something even, a year ago people were doubtful about. So it's amazing the progress that even in just the last year that they've made is wonderful. So what we'll do is we'll move into Star Citizen Live here, and there was definitely some interesting topics on here. Of course, this is from the 6th of August, and this is going into the asset manager and all that. And Jay Skull, I'm going to let you kind of go over all the cargo stuff here and kind of cover all the things that you saw with that, because it was definitely a very interesting video. Kind of jumped all over a little hard to follow, to be honest, but definitely a lot of info.
Yeah. So all of this stuff, I tried to, like I guess I was saying before we started all this stuff when we were all just talking. I checked the video, and as I was taking notes to try to prepare for this, I realized that they were answering questions that were that they had collected off of Spectrum, and then they were answering questions that were coming in through live chat. And because of that format, they were covering topics in all sorts of different orders, and it wasn't really grouped very well to kind of pull it all together and remember some of it. So I tried to grab as much of it and group it as much as I could. And one of the things that I discovered as I was kind of group it all is like the cargo refactor, like most things in Star Citizen, like server meshing, iCache, capacitor gameplay is now called power management. They all have more changes than what you first comes to mind. And so I tried to group a lot of what I was hearing to kind of give an idea of what cargo refactoring is going to cover. Not necessarily, day one when they release the first part of it, which a piece of it's coming in, slated for 315. So, there's the asset manager, which they're calling NikNak, which will be in your mobiGlas, but that'll be for global assets, so you can see where your stuff is everywhere. And they're going to cover that at CitizenCon. That's one of the things that is coming up on October 9th. So they're reserving a lot of topics to go deep into, I think, on these next Star Citizen Lives and Inside Star Citizen and game dev episodes that they're going to do for the CitizenCon panels and things like that. So cargo refactor, they call it a clean slate to kind of rethink and revision kind of how they're going to handle cargo in the game. And so, first things first, it's going to be physicalized cargo within the cargo grid. So we'll be able to move boxes, like right now you go and you buy it at a shop, it magically spawns in your ship. You walk in and you just see a bunch of boxes there. We're going to now be able to actually pick those up and move them around. It's going to impact the economy. There's a whole bunch of different things that they go into a little bit there with the economy, but they didn't go very deep.
Adjacent to the cargo refactor, and we'll get back to that in a minute, will the cargo refactor include a meaningful overhaul of the economy itself for updated profit and investment ratios?
I think it has to. One of the things that we want to do is sell things kind of by the box, not like this per unit, because it does a lot of different things when we start to go down that road where it takes a certain amount of money to get into a box, a super valuable box that's this big. Whereas, I can get into like the really cheap stuff in larger volumes, maybe the really expensive stuff. I can only buy in smaller quantities, but I've got to get a certain amount of it in order to. It's like buying a lot size on the stock market, right? You got to buy it in 100-unit lots. Similar principle with what we want to do for the cargo, and it kind of ties to the whole sea and these large containers that we need to have to facilitate those. But it's I don't see how we can't do that. Like it's mandatory, 100%.
So he was just talking about buy sell changes, which is one of the things I was going to cover. They're going to change like minimum commit sizes for when you buy, a Grecium or salvage or whatever you're going to slag. Instead of buying it in single units, it's now going to be by. And he didn't give an example of what the minimum size would be though. They also went over jettisoning. They're going to be able to jettison larger boxes for rec sites. So instead of the little 1 SU boxes, you might be able to actually get a whole big box. Containers are going to have a mix of commodities as well as inventory items now. So that's going to be part of the loot generation system that's coming. So you go to some of these wrecks, or if you're a pirate and you take over someone's ship, the 1 SU boxes that you're going to find on there aren't necessarily just going to be diamonds or medical equipment or whatever. It might have armor, weapons, bottles of water, whatever. And with physicalized cargo on a grid, we'll be able to take cargo from others off their ship. So if somebody does buy a bunch of whatever, has a bunch of quantanium that they're moving from their refinery, and you manage to get on their ship, you can walk off with some quantanium. They talked about prospector bags will be detachable. They'll be physical things. They're part of the ship at the moment, but they're actually going to make those detachable, like they said a long time ago. So I assume that expands to the mole as well, but they didn't mention the mole. They had a question come in around Lego style Snap 2 for cargo handling. So you have nice tidy little rows with your boxes as you're loading the ship, unlike what we see when we're doing the Xeno, where the containers are all over the place. They say the hooks exist for it, but it's up to the downstream teams as to how they implement it. And he said, if it does come in, it'll probably be limited to the tractor beam first, because there's player actions that they're going to have to change in how your player actually moves and stacking the boxes. So he was speculating that if they do implement it, it'll just be first implementation will be the tractor beam. So personalized and localized inventories, that's the thing that we're going to see first, and that is not in the Asset Manager app. That's actually part of the thought system, the inner thought system. And I think we've seen some clips, some pictures of that in some of the older SC videos. And that's slated for 315, and it will have an impact on gameplay because right now we're used to going like when you're building out a ship loadout for a certain ship, you're going to fly to all these different locations to get your parts if they're scattered around at different stores, and then you can move them around wherever you end up. Now you're going to have to pay attention to actually where those things are stored. Are they stored on a ship? Are they stored at New Babbage? Are they stored at Micro 1? Are they stored at where? So I think that's going to be a big change for people. I don't know if it'll be as big as capacitor gameplay, but I think it'll have an impact on people because it's already a pain trying to remember where you have to go to get certain parts.
Yeah, and I think Rob's bearing the lead here a little bit. If you were paying really close attention, you will have noticed that there was quite a dramatic change to the way that cargo works implied in that answer.
Yes.
Which is that we're not going to be magically spawning the cargo into your ship whenever you purchase cargo. Instead, it's going to be purchased into the hangar, and you'll be calling it from the freight elevator, and then manually moving it in and out of the kind of staging space into the ship, right? So this is part of I mentioned before that we're trying to localize the cargo more. This is part of that. We're getting rid of the magic. No more popping in and out of existence. Instead, they're physical things. They have to be moved. Of course, in the future, this is going to set us up for systems such as maybe drones or NPCs that you can hire to help you move these things. But for now, the idea is that you can move them yourself using the multi-tool, or you can bring in your friends. And so, this is one way in which people that are playing together will have an advantage over players that are just playing by themselves, because there's a certain amount of throughput that you'll be able to achieve with a larger crew, which will increase your financials.
That's right.
As opposed to as a single player. So it's
Persistent Hangars is going to be key for cargo loading and unloading. They talk about Persistent Hangars a lot in that video. Persistent Hangars is slated for 317 right now. But how to get around that right now, when they implement personalized and localized inventories, they're going to change the vehicle manager app in your Mobiglass to only kind of go back a step, to only show you what's at that location or where you're at right now. So if you do have parts in other hangars at other locations, you won't have access to them unless you fly there. First iteration is probably going to still be shopkeepers, direct spawning cargo on the ships, because we don't have the persistent hangars for them to send the cargo to. But eventually, when you buy the cargo, shopkeeper will send it to your hangar or your hangar storage, and then you'll have to manually load it onto the ship until they get the persistent hangars set up. It's still going to spawn directly on your ship, whichever ship you tell them to send it to. And then they did cover player-to-player sales and trades. The MoTrader app, I think they talk about that in here as well.
Yeah, they did.
They said it was barely tier 0 right now, and they went through some scenarios and some ideas around, if I have, I don't know, a couple coolers that I want to sell Dark Hour, and he's interested in them, and I'm in one location and he's in another. There's a possibility, and this is all them just kind of visioning it out, of needing to ship it. And then that opening up an opportunity for a third player to actually be the actual shipping company to move those parts from me to Dark Hour.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, going back to that buying and selling changes, I think one thing that they brought up in there that was interesting, I got a clip here that I want to run, selling your inventory. You got 25 attrition ones that you got no ship to put it on. You're going to be able to sell those back, and this is what they said about that.
Why don't we just start there? What is next for selling, trading, shopping, asset managing?
Yeah, so the big one is we're trying to close off some of these game loops, right? We can go out, we can buy stuff, we can already sell commodities. So the next logical step was to be able to sell personal items or ship items back to shops, just offloading. You bought 57 different ships, but you're just like, I just want to manage, a small set of power plants or whatever. That's a doable thing now. The goal is to start with those item types, generally kind of limit them to the types of items that the store will have for sale, right? And then go from there. The selling ships back to a dealer is going to be a future tier, right? But the important part is, you know, when we start going to loot generation, you're going to be able to collect a lot more stuff. May or may not be valuable, but it's another form of being able to be rewarded within the game to be able to go and sell it somewhere.
So I found that was interesting because I get asked questions a lot, especially from new players on the YouTube about, I have all this extra stuff, where can I go sell it? And it's like, well, you can't. You're stuck with it. Even if you do a character reset, the stuff you don't want, you'll probably keep. The stuff you do want will probably go away. So I think this is going to be a huge benefit to people in the future with being able to, again, that loot's coming in, so you got to be able to sell that, obviously, and then being able to sell all the extras that you pick up when you inadvertently somehow get 5,000 med pens. You only need maybe a couple hundred. You can sell the rest back. So I think that's going to be definitely a bonus. Of course, as he said, ships are way down the line, though.
Yeah, they actually went into a big long thing on the ships. You know, they protect the ship portion of the database. They're very hesitant to make any changes there because the impact to a player if and when they do see bugs there, you know, it takes a long time to grind for a ship in the game, and they don't want you to lose your ship due to a bug. So they emphasized several times that they were going to go very slowly in that area, and that will be the last thing that they bring in.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
And they'll start out with all the personal inventory item stuff that you're going to be able to sell, because that's the stuff we're going to be able to get for loot in the very beginning.
Yeah, and no one's really going to be too upset if they lose 2 extra power plants or anything like that. So,
and that's actually one of the gray areas, though, for me, is like with the loot generation, is it just going to be boxes with, you know, armor items, weapons, things like that, or will we actually get ship parts and ammo?
From what I saw in the video, because they had that loot video a couple weeks back, it looked like you open it up and it could have armor items, it could have a gun item. It's not going to have ship components from what it seemed like that I took away from the video. It's going to be more personal items, med pens, oxy pens, and the things that you're going to be able to use on your person.
Yeah. Consumables and things.
Yep.
I could see with salvaging them, adding components and things like that that you could pick up and sell.
Yeah, or they'll integrate that into, you know, the missions that have, once salvage comes in, you're salvaging those parts off whatever you're salvaging. So, you know, you take the reclaimer out to a salvage spot, tear up a ship, you'll be able to pull the power plants, the shield generators, and all that off before it starts chewing it up, and you'll be able to sell those then. As probably one of the most common ways they could do it.
Well, and they haven't stated yet whether physicalized components will be part of the initial cargo refactor stuff. And probably not. It's probably going to come down a little bit later since it requires changes to ships.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
But I'm just, where I was going with that is just, if it's not a physicalized component, it's going to be difficult for us to salvage, right? We can't take it off the ship unless they do some sort of magic and it just goes into your inventory.
Yeah, exactly.
Persistent hangars. Since they talked about persistent hangars so much, I created a smaller section just to kind of walk through those. They did describe, you know, the cargo loading and unloading. The hangar is going to be private to you, whether you bought it or you're renting it. So you'll have a level of security there for your cargo. There will be the ability for people to get into your space, but it'll supposedly be harder. And that was one of the questions that came in from chat was, you know, how are you going to protect us when we're loading and unloading our ships?
Yeah,
one
I got the answer. I had to clip it. I loved it.
Right. But when it comes to loading and unloading of cargo in space, docking arms for ships and in hangars, how do you plan to protect the player's ship from someone coming on board during a manual loading process and flying away or stowing away on board? Basically, how can players protect themselves during this vulnerable time?
Yeah, I think the bigger question is, how are you going to protect your ship and your cargo that's being loaded and unloaded on your ship? Who are you going to work with to make that a safe thing? To me, that's where multiplayer gameplay just shines, right? And it's you know, you want to hire some friends. Eventually, we want to have NPCs that you can hire. Maybe your reputation's high enough where turrets at the station will actually help protect you, right?
All right, so that was the clip of their answer. I love that answer because obviously we know pirates like to steal ships.
And the other gentleman that was in the top left, the left of Jarrett with the powerlifting equipment in the background, Chad, I think his name is. He actually said, you know, you're going to be doing this work in your hangar.
Yep.
Obviously, if it's a hull ship, you won't be. But the person who asked the question later in Spectrum clarified kind of the point of their question. It wasn't so much like we're relying on you guys to build the protection in. It's the current law system doesn't allow us to use force to protect our stuff. So if
Right.
we've got somebody who's picking up a box and walking off with it, how do we stop them without getting a crime stat?
Yeah, right
That
now
was
you can't.
really that was the crux of their question. And the answer to that is, you know, if you're doing the loading and unloading in a hangar, chances are you're reduced risk, I guess, of having somebody actually having easy access to your ship there.
Yeah, I would say it's a reduced risk, but as they had made a point in there, somebody's going to pull it off. They're either going to sneak in while you're pulling into your hangar. I don't see how, I can't say that because somebody has snuck into the elevator and gone to my hangar with me in game, and I didn't notice they were standing behind me, but the likelihood is slim, but somebody's going to find a way.
Yeah.
And as the rewards for doing so, and you can actually sell those items you pick up, become available, you're going to see a lot more often.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely, because there's going to be a reward for the risk. So pirates that can steal your ship, they're going to be able to sell that stuff and make, you know, AUEC off of it and actually earn something for those efforts other than just inconveniencing somebody.
Next piece around the persistent hangars and cargo was, you know, if I've got cargo and Potato has cargo and we want to move it on one ship, how do we get the physical cargo together if they're in different hangars? They discussed this idea of a cargo elevator that is not owned by, but assigned to whomever the person is that's using it at the time. So, you know, if in that scenario we're going to use my ship in my hangar, I've got my cargo in my hangar. Potato would just move his cargo onto the cargo elevator, and you know, magically stop at my door, and then we would pull the cargo in from there. The other thing that they highlighted was it will be by hand for now until they can, you know, get hireable NPCs in the game to help you load your cargo and manage your cargo. So I guess it'll be, you know, the smaller SU ships are going to look mighty appealing. So you're not spending 2 hours loading and unloading your own ship.
Gray Cat forklift.
Somebody asked for that in the chat.
Yes, they did. And Jared made the joke, you know, those trolleys don't look so silly now.
Yeah, as long as they don't kill you.
Yeah. Well, they said they're getting rid of the wheels. They said they're going to put some sort of magnetic lift system on them because the wheels are too much of a hassle. So maybe that'll solve the killing, or maybe it won't. I don't know.
The ship exploding?
Yeah, ships will just explode on the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
They discussed kind of the magic that'll be in place so that they want us to have a unique experience when we enter and exit our hangar. So we'll always, you know, if it's hangar 12, you always go to the door for hangar 12. But they do not have the resources to assign every hangar a unique entrance. So if they've got 50 hangars at New Babbage, there's not going to be 50 unique entrances for the 50 players that own them. So they said they will be doing some magic behind the scenes. All I was thinking of is those car vending machines they have in some places.
Oh yeah.
So you just kind of roll in and off you go. I don't know that we'll see it, but they did talk about moving you. So
yeah,
that's what I thought of. And hangars will be customizable. That was the other thing.
I could see hangars becoming a premium item, though.
Well, they did talk about the ability of possibly, if you're at an area outside of your personal hangar, being able to rent one for temporary use.
Right, but how many hangars do the stations have? Are people going to be able to rent the same hangar?
Well, that's kind of like what they were talking about, that they're going to move them around. So, like, let's say your hangar is hangar 12. your hangar is always going to be always hangar 12 if that's your persistent hangar. But like J Scale was saying, they can't have 50 hangars throughout Lorville because don't forget it, server meshing comes in and there could be 100, 200, 300 people on the server. It's going to work like a carousel system, like the car vending machine. So your hangar 12, you're going to go to your hangar and do all that. You get landing clearance. The game is in the background on the back end is going to move your hangar around so that you can leave. And then somebody else who's in their hangar, when they're ready to leave, it'll move their hangar into that position, then they can leave.
Yeah, I could definitely see it causing a how we enter and exit changes.
Well, the how we enter and exit's not going to change. It's always going to stay the same. It's just how it's handled on the back end.
Okay.
It's kind of like a sleight of hand.
So they did, to the limited space comment you made around the space stations. They did talk about that when they were talking about the cargo decks, and that they're going to revisit the cargo decks because they don't necessarily align with the cargo factor is shaping up.
Yeah, they came in and never got used.
Yeah, Jared said something like they taste great, but they're less filling. They said that cargo storage is going to be limited, and they're trying to figure out, what does that look like? If you're buying cargo on a station to load onto your ship, where's it go? Or if you're bringing cargo in and maybe you need to store it for whatever reason, they're going to charge you for that space. And they were talking about how much capacity can they actually have, and then the more capacity you need, the higher the costs go. So there will be physical limitations. It sounds like, based on what they were just talking about.
Yeah, there definitely will be. But I mean, if you're going for that realism and the immersion, I mean, you got to have that though.
Yeah.
I mean, just as much as you got to have that realism in the combat, as much as I don't want only 300 rounds of ballistic ammo, it's unrealistic to have 50,000 rounds of ballistic ammo because it's not going to hold that. You got to, put it around real life physics and everything.
Well, and the other thing it could do is drive up the desire to have your own base with your own hangar.
Yeah,
true.
And that's going to be along when the Pioneer comes out and everything. So I know one thing that they touch base on, which I was not surprised by, but reputation. And I think you had mentioned earlier that reputation is going to be ingrained in everything. And the one thing I did like is that reputation is even going to affect the cargo hauling. So it's going to affect you in the fact that you might be able to buy things cheaper and you'll be able to sell them for higher prices. And could also put a limit on how much of the stuff you can buy.
And who you can do business with.
Exactly.
On the reputation system, the other stuff that they talked about was like, not only will it impact, the cost for buying, selling, taxes, things like that, but it also give you access to items.
Yep.
They said for Xenothreat, they're going to directly give you the items that you earn under the CDF reputation chain, but that's not how they want it to work in the future. They want it to work more like the Bounty Hunter reputation system does now, where it gives you access to things, even if it's a physical thing you can own.
Right.
And then if they went into the long-term scenario of, if you got like a cooler or some special part that you were able to get from reputation, if you lose reputation and you're no longer qualified to get that part, they won't take it away from you, but you won't be able to repair it or something.
Replace it if you lose it.
Yeah. And the other thing they said about reputation is that they want, somebody asked the question of, will there be more reputation for folks that want to be on the less lawful gameplay side, so the more piratey stuff?
Yep.
And they said that they want to have reputation for everything that the players enjoy doing. So it doesn't matter if it's peaceful, if it's violent, if it's unlawful, lawful gameplay. So it's going to run the gamut of things. So they're just going to keep adding more. It's their form of progression, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't see it being a bad thing as long as they get it working smoothly. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that they're going to run into as far as a roadblock is just making sure that they work out those bugs and they get it working the way that they want to work. Because we know when people can't progress, they take up arms. So they're usually really good about making sure they address these things. So I'm not too worried, but I think it's nice that they are ingraining it in all the activities that you're going to do. Because, again, that whole immersion thing, in this type of atmosphere, your way to get around anybody who watches sci-fi or anything like that is your reputation. So I think it brings it into the big bubble of immersion that they're trying to fill.
Yep.
Moving on to Inside Star System for the 12th of August, they addressed PvP, and that was that Player Slayer video that I'm sure many people watched. And it definitely had a lot of information in it, because I wasn't even aware that the original Jumptown was a glitch. It was gone long before I got in, but from what they were talking about with Jumptown 2, they're planning on making it more of a periodic 2-3 hour long event, and then it goes and then it comes back. But from what they were showing as far as clips of what Jumptown was, it looked like it was a blast. And I got a clip from the video here.
My first big introduction to PvP in the Persistent universe was actually Jumptown, the original,
which was never really designed to be a purely PvP kind of scenario.
We started getting frantic reports that there was this huge bug, that a drug outpost was selling things at way too cheap.
It became a bottleneck for players to go to, and because it was a bottleneck, players decided to fight over it.
We ended up sitting there kind of going, we wish we didn't have to pull this out. Yes, it was wrecking the economy, but it looked super fun. We couldn't action on it immediately, but you better believe we all noted down right then and there that someday we wanted to do Jumptown 2. So development is just starting for Jumptown 2. We're going to be trying to recreate the original experience as much as possible. The first big thing is obviously we can't let it destroy the economy. To handle that, the event will only run for a few hours, but during that time, it will be hyper profitable so that we can hopefully still pull people in for that limited duration. The other big thing is making sure that people know about the event, so we're going to be broadcasting things in-game, be that comms calls or more likely a mission that will let people know where they can go for this and what it is. There are no plans currently to add capture zones or any huge gamifying elements. If you want to group up and handle it, great. If you want to try and steal the stuff in order to sell in a different location, great. If you want to turn it into some kind of legal organization for reputation with them, great. We are looking to support a very emergent style of play for this event.
That's talking about Jumptown 2, and one big thing that they made to point out with the PvP is, of course, the fact that they learned so much from the PvP as well as the PvE, but definitely a lot from PvP that allows them to design new gameplay, new weapons, new anything. It tells them a lot about how the game is running. So I found that video extremely interesting, and I look forward to them putting in an event in for Jumptown. I think, if it's anything like what they were showing there, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Especially
I just kept thinking Theaters of War.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but I mean, Theaters of War will be more of the, Arena Commander style where you can go in anytime you want, where this will be integrated into the game, probably much like Ninetales, where you see different missions come up and all that. And if that's the case, then I'm all for it.
That's a very high risk, high reward place.
Yeah, I think he used the word hyper earning.
Yeah, they're gonna really inflate the profits
payouts
that you can get. Yeah, for Widow and all that stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the first Jumptown, like I said, I never knew it, but it was all completely a glitch. PV, you were probably one of the few here that was around for that.
Yeah, but I never participated.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I just didn't have the ship or the skill.
Ah. It looks like it would definitely be fun. I mean, especially having a little moon base to fight over. Definitely different than, ship fighting gives you an FPS style, fighting to get into outside of just going through a Starfare. So definitely some added benefits to that one.
It'll give you a use for the A2 and the Redeemer.
Oh, I'll just bomb the hell out of everything. Take everybody out.
Strafe run with the Inferno.
There you go.
So that brings us to the roadmap roundup information. And Jaysco, you want to take this one?
Sure. Things that were added to the progress tracker. There were 3 ships: Orion, Lynx, and the Genesis Starliner. In case people have forgotten, the Lynx is the luxury rover that goes with the Connie Phoenix. Orion's the big mining ship, and then we've talked about the Starliner. Ammunition types. There's plasma, which will leave the larger plasma weapons are supposed to leave a lingering hazard that causes additional damage. Incendiary is going to be a ballistic that it can start fires once it gets inside a ship or makes contact with something that's flammable. And then disarray is another ballistic weapon or round, I should say, that is EM charged, so it'll disrupt power systems. And then mines were also added to the under ammunition.
Which means my Nautilus is coming.
Well, I hope. And they used ships plural when they were talking about that one. So right now the Nautilus is the only known ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the only known mine layer.
And they do have several unknown ships that they've referred to as new and unannounced. So
yep.
Aerodynamic control surfaces. We'll be able to fly in atmosphere like we're flying actual planes now instead of using thrusters. Good luck on that Origin 600i. Save and load for Squadron 42, and then the temporarily removed items: cutting tier 2, ground vehicles version 2, counterfeiting / data download missions. So we're gonna have to wait longer on that using that MSR or that the Herald.
Terrapin and the Herald.
Rep gates for missions and a Kiro cluster and ground scramble race, which I don't ever remember seeing the ground scramble race on there. I'm interested in what that actually is. And then previously removed but now returning is dynamic population, ladders tier 1, actor status tier 2. Ladders tier 1 was the one where you're going to be able to actually do stuff while you're on a ladder, like shoot. I can't remember what actor status tier 2 is. Release view. So they added a whole bunch of medical related things to 315. So the hospitals at Orrison and New Babbage are going to continue building those out so we can actually start using them to respawn at. And that begs the question: when is Death of the Spaceman Tier 0 coming in? Rest stop at the rest stop in the Grim Hex clinics. Jared said the Grim Hex clinic looks really cool. Orrison V2, not 100% certain what all is in there, but I think the showroom is in there. And they're probably going to lay the foundations for IAE 2951 because it's going to be in Orrison this year.
Yep.
Loot generation tier 0, so we're finally going to get some goodies. Asset manager app, which is going to cause headaches, and then physical local inventory support, which is going to cause more headaches. And infiltration and defend missions. They said this is primarily going to leverage spawn closets in some of the existing like underground bunkers and things like that. So the mission from Hurston to go clear one of the facilities. Instead of being able to memorize how many and where they're all at, I think they're going to use the spawn closets for those. Shops and patrons are going to start increasing the interactive usables that we can get at the shops, as well as adjusting the behaviors. They were talking about starting with like the coffee, food vendors first. They're adding doctor and nurse AI behaviors and update to the Broken Moon map in Arena Commander. They said they're making it larger, more areas to kind of fight in, more cover, all that stuff. For 316, they added Area 18 Hospital, 317, the Lordville Hospital, and then they removed Ship Interior OC streaming from the 315 card.
See, now the thing that concerns me is with all these hospitals, doctors, and nurses, instead of going into the menus and going into your character customizations, are we now going to have to pay AUEC to have cosmetic surgery?
Yep. They said for medical gameplay, each limb is going to have a health pool. So you may get damaged or whatever, and you heal it in the field. It's still not going to be 100%, kind of like your ship, right? You can do field repairs on your ship hull, but it's not going to look the same as the rest of the ship. So they, over time, I guess you can get enough damage to a limb that you have to have it replaced. So
until they all fall off and you're just a stump like the Black Knight and Monty Python. It's but
just
a
a
flesh wound. So after that, they did come out with some announcements. Obviously, with 314, they want to promote it. They want to get people interested in it. We've got a free fly that's going to start up on August 18th. I would imagine probably at least a week long. They have not mentioned what ships are actually going to be available to be flown. They did say that it's going to be select ships. So keep your eyes out for that. I think they sent the email out just today on that. The other thing that you're going to see is with the Pledge Store, all your Crusader ships are available in honor of the opening of Orrison. So any of those ships they missed out on Invictus, get over there and you'll be able to grab them. Of course, you got the subscriber special of the month, which is the Freelancer lineup. You can get the subscriber discount on all the different variations of the Freelancer there through, I think it's the first 10 days. And of course, we have the Connie Taurus, which was just launched. We looked at earlier, which is available out there for you as well, too. Now, currently, also subscribers are going to get the ship of the month is the Rock DS.
Oh, great.
So we're skipping a month on the ship of the month this month. And we'll let you know as soon as what we know it's going to be next month. I don't know what to tell you. It's... Grab a buddy, maybe you can put him out in the freezing cold and kill him. And of course, we've got the referral bonus right now through the end of August. CIG is actually running one of their referral bonuses. If you get somebody to use your referral code and buys a package in the game, that person will get, and you will get, a Coldfire Expedition paint Dragonfly. And that's good through the end of the month. So get your friends, family out there, anybody that you know that's slightly interested in the game. Get them in front of that computer, get them to play it. They'll fall in love with it. Have them use your referral code, and you'll get a free Dragonfly, and so will they. Also, they do have the video contest going on for CitizenCon, and CitizenCon is coming on October 9th. J-Scale, I don't have all the details on what the video was.
I don't either. I didn't get a chance to go look for the Spectrum post. I have it somewhere, but I don't. I think it's a cosplay type thing.
Oh, that's right. It is the cosplay. He did mention that in the video.
Yeah,
so,
he said be careful with the bag helmets.
Yes, the Hurston Lorville bag helmets. It is the cosplay contest. So check out the RSI site for more details on that. Again, CitizenCon is going to be on the 9th of October. And as we all know, not too far after CitizenCon, we're going to be looking at the IAE Expo. So I would imagine probably going to be end of November, beginning of December, right in there. So keep an eye out for more information as we get closer to that. So that's pretty much all the information that we got for you. Again, it's a little longer than what it's planned to be this time because we got a couple weeks of information going over, but we will... have a little bit more of a standard pace once we get into the weekly format. One thing I do want to do is try to bring attention to orgs that are out there who are out and around the verse that we interact with, people that have same gameplay kind of feel to them as we do. And one org we got to meet was Auec Mining and Reclamation. They actually reached out to us on our Discord and struck up a conversation with us. And we actually had them join us on stream this past Sunday night. And I got a clip of that. And in this clip, Sage, who is the AMR rep, is telling you a little bit about his org. So I'm going to let him tell you because he's the one that can best describe it. And I apologize about the Mole's mining laser. I didn't realize it was that loud, but you can still make him out.
Hey, I really appreciate you inviting us out. We're having a lot of fun over here. I am Dr. Sage Farville. I am the Director for Outreach and Engagement at Auec Mining and Reclamation. In a 30-second elevator pitch, Auec Mining Reclamation is a mining and salvage company for hire. What we specialize in is operating in environments that are typically non-permissive for most industrial orgs. How we do this is the sort of people that we bring in and that we're looking forward to hire typically come from a lot of the military and law enforcement backgrounds. We bring people in from, and this is in character, I should say. We bring people in who have frontier experience, and we craft a team that we are not the primary going out and doing the work. We're an enabler. We're the ones that when you want to go out to the harshest, worst places in the verse and do industrial operations, you call us. We come in, we help train people who maybe don't typically operate in those environments. We provide security assessments, intelligence assessments about what the environment is like, what's going to be needed to be successful operating in that environment. And then we bring out our crews, our expertise, and we enable you to go where you could not previously go before. That's AMR in a nutshell. That's kind of the in-character. Out of character side, basically we're a semi-RP org that does industrial stuff. We like salvage, we like mining. Our motto is, we are what you need us to be. So if you've got something that you have a hard problem, you're trying to figure out like how to accomplish a certain task, reach out to us. We'll figure out how to enable you to profit in any environment or any situation that's out there.
All right, so that was Sage Parvel, who joined us on Sunday, and I want to say thanks to Sage as well as Captain Solo and also Asher for joining us. We had a great time with them. Actually, Potato and H3, you guys were there, and what they, kind of informed us on is that pretty much they're about 24, 25 people large, and they are definitely a role play, or as he called it, a semi-role play. They kind of bounced back and forth while they were with us that night. Organization. They have a slightly different pathway to joining the org. They have a website, which is acareminingandreclamation.com, which I'll put a link in the comments below if anybody's interested in checking them out. They definitely start the roleplay aspect from the time that you submit your application. But as I was telling you guys before we got started with this, they actually stumbled across us, researching and looking into people that applied and pirate ties and things like that. And obviously, we are a big encouragement of multi-org membership, so it's only going to be natural somebody in our org is going to be in a pirate org as well. But that's how they stumbled across us, and they reached out to us. It was a great time. I mean, what'd you guys think as far as how things have went?
I'll go first, Potato. I had Sage fly Overwatch for me while I was doing some mining, and his comms were spot on. Heading, speed, altitude, all that stuff, and he was right there, following my every move and basically calling out for me. Very professional. I think they're definitely someone you'd want to hire to help you out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It seemed like a really good group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I had a great time, and he was very welcoming with answering questions and trying to give him a plug for anything that he was interested in getting out there. Of course, they've got a training event that's coming up on October 2nd. And if you're in Amarok's Fang or you're in one of their orgs that they're ambassadors with, definitely it's open to you, as well as the Acare Mining and Reclamation org as well too. We have information on our Discord in regards to that, so definitely check that out. Or if you want to apply to them again, check out their website, acareminingandreclamation.com, and take a look at them. If you're into that role play thing, they definitely got that down. They're very well organized and seem like a great bunch of people. That brings us to the end of the program. I want to say thanks to you guys for joining. Potato, PV, H3D, and Buck. Thank you for being guests with us tonight. J-Scale, thank you for helping put the show together. I expect to see a new IMDb page now that you got a producer credit out there. So, but I enjoyed it too. It was great to have you guys on. And thank you to everybody out there for watching us. We will also be implementing a segment where we can address questions from the viewers, you guys. So you can actually reach us through multiple different routes, whether it be through the YouTube page with the community page, throw questions in there, we'll pull from there, or even the Twitter at darkhour7171 or on Instagram at darkhour717. You can even email your questions directly to the channel email at darkhourexperience@gmail.com, and we'll make time to go through, answer questions that you have on anything that you run into, whether it be bugs or it's combat, mining, anything like that. Or if you're somebody considering getting the game, feel free to shoot questions to us. We'll be happy to answer those. But thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to doing this again. And we will bring you the updated information for all the new videos that come out this week. And everybody have a great night, and thanks again.